So usually when you think about global high finance, you picture armies of quants running algorithms, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like risk managers scrutinizing every single penny. You don't just walk in off the street and ask for $1 billion.
No, you really don't.
But today, in this deep dive, we're looking at how an Australian watermelon farmer did exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, he infiltrated the absolute highest echelons of global finance to fund a total mirage.
Right.
And he did it using this bizarre mechanism called lending against future receivables.
Which honestly sounds entirely made up.
It really does.
Yeah.
It borders on science fiction. And we're going to unpack exactly how he pulled this whole thing off.
Yeah, and we are drawing from Duncan Mavin's phenomenal book for this, The Pyramid of Lies. And just to give you an idea of the stakes here, while Mavin was actively investigating this, his car was mysteriously broken into.
Oh my gosh, wait, really?
Yeah. And the thieves ignored, brand new shopping bags in the backseat and specifically targeted a gym bag that contained his source's financial documents.
Wow. Which tells you right there that some incredibly powerful people were desperate to keep this quiet.
Oh, absolutely.
So the guy at the center of all this is Lex Greensill. And his pitch started with this brilliant origin myth. He claimed he wanted to democratize supply chain finance to help small farmers. Just like his own parents.
Right, because traditionally, supply chain finance just bridges the gap between when an invoice is issued and when a massive corporate buyer actually pays it.
Exactly.
So Lex went out to the market saying he was fixing this rigged corporate system so that small suppliers didn't have to wait 90 agonizing days to get their cash.
But wait, let's unpack that, because if the supplier is taking a discount on what they're owed just to get paid early, they aren't exactly being empowered.
No, not at all.
I mean, the big corporate buyer keeps their cash longer, Greensill skims a fee right off the top, and the small farmer is just bleeding their own profit margins to survive. It's essentially a corporate payday loan.
You hit the nail on the head. Actually, government watchdogs in Australia found evidence of exactly this dynamic happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, big corporate clients were actually using Greensill's system to bully their small suppliers. They basically said, take this discounted early payment through Greensill or wait months to get paid at all.
That is just a systematic margin squeeze.
Exactly.
So if his underlying business model was just squeezing suppliers, he couldn't rely on his real-world results to attract smart money. He needed a massive distraction.
Right, he had to manufacture elite credibility. And he did that very aggressively. I mean, he hired former UK Prime Minister David Cameron as an internal advisor.
Which is wild.
It is. And Cameron then lobbied his former government colleagues heavily for Greensill during the COVID crisis. And Greensill also secured a $1.5 billion investment from SoftBank.
Just massive, massive numbers.
Oh, completely. He even adopted a fake upper-class British accent and wore these bespoke Savile Row suits just to complete the illusion.
And the psychological blind spot here is fascinating. The financial establishment saw a guy with the right suits, flanked by a former prime minister, and they stopped checking the math.
They completely suspended their critical thinking.
Yeah.
Greensill projected absolute confidence and promised these massive tech-like returns. And in a world where interest rates were basically zero, people were desperate.
Right, which blinded the watchdogs. And that brings us to the future receivables trick we mentioned at the start.
Yes, the core of the fraud.
Because with that elite camouflage, regulators just look the other way. I mean, loaning against a real invoice is one thing, but how on earth do you leverage an invoice that hasn't even been written yet?
Well, he started securitizing prospective business. Instead of funding actual unpaid invoices, Lex loaned billions to highly risky clients, mostly Sanjeev Gupta's steel empire.
Okay.
And this was based entirely on predicted future transactions. He was literally treating a completely hypothetical future sale as a tangible asset today.
That is insane. That is like me taking out $1 million mortgage based on the future salary of a CEO job I haven't even applied for yet.
Precisely. And to keep the money flowing, Greensill took these imaginary IOUs, bundled them up with legitimate invoices, and somehow got them stamped with an investment-grade rating.
And the big banks just bought it.
Yeah, giant banks like Credit Suisse bought them right up. They were basically hypnotized by the fake rating and his elite associations. They just didn't bother to look at the imaginary math inside the bundle.
Until they literally had no choice.
Exactly. The whole thing finally broke in early 2021. The trade credit insurers backing these bundles realized the true extent of the risk and pulled their coverage.
And without that insurance, the whole thing just
It
collapsed.
evaporated almost overnight.
It just shows how incredibly vulnerable the global system really is when it gets blinded by pedigree.
It really does.
And it leaves you with a pretty unsettling question to think about. If a fake British accent and a former prime minister's phone book were enough to blind the world's top financial watchdogs, how many other visionary unicorns currently sitting in your mutual funds are built on that exact same imaginary math?